Hi, this is Curious Mystics Podcast, formerly Spiritual Mamas Podcast. Together we explore the mysteries of the spiritual world, sometimes boldly,
Sometimes cautiously.
but always with open hearts
And curious minds.
Let's go. Hello.
Hello and welcome.
It's Erica.
And Kim.
And we're here. We're doing it.
We are. That sigh was everything right there.
We're having technical difficulties. We're having life difficulties.
I don't know.
We're
just rolling with it right now.
We're rolling with it.
Yeah.
Last week was just crazy for me. And this week's shaping up similarly.
Yeah.
How about you?
I agree. It's been wild. I had to bring my dog to the vet 3 times this week to try and get his just for like his yearly exam. And he is not having it. So we're trying to like get him drowsy.
Oh no.
It didn't work.
Oh geez.
So yeah, we'll see.
That does not sound fun.
No, they're like, if we can't sedate him enough, then he's going to have to be put under anesthesia.
Just to be seen?
Yeah. He won't let anybody look at his ears. He won't let anybody look at his paws. He won't let anybody look at his teeth. He won't let anybody check his temperature. He won't get his vaccines.
Oh my goodness. Is this new for him?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yep. So,
just to sedate him just to be looked at. That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. They were giving me all this medication and he's not having it. He's like, I don't want that. No matter what I do. He's like, no,
he's on to you. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Not good.
So, we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. You had a lot of stuff going on lately. Oh, I'm dropping things.
Yeah, my daughter and son-in-law moved out. So that was exciting, but it was just a lot of work, like on their end, obviously, but I was also helping. And so, it's been a big transition. I did get to do their house blessing and cleansing, and that was, I loved that. I was so happy to be able to do that for them. And it was really crazy too. There was like a ton of energy in one of the rooms. Like there's a lot of energy in general, but there like one of the living room was just like so much energy that like the goosebumps, because you know how I feel energy and things, and it's usually a form of like goosebumps or like tingling or numbness or whatever. The goosebumps were like, I can't even describe it. The biggest goosebumps ever. And then like my hair was just straight up.
Wow.
Straight up and down. What I was using to do the smoke, the cleansing, was just started smoking crazy.
Oh wow.
But it wasn't like bad energy, it was just a ton of energy. So I don't know if they just did a lot in there, or like maybe like the owner was sick and had passed away, so I don't know if maybe they're in hospice in there. So it was a little crazy, but it was great. It was awesome.
Well, it's good that you cleared it out for them. Like, give them a fresh start in their new home on their new journey. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was nice to be able to do that. And the house is a lot quieter right now because we don't have the 2 dogs and they're not here. And it's a little sad, but good at the same time.
Yeah, it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah. So what are we doing today?
So today we're going to talk about the Great Pyramid as a spiritual vortex.
Awesome.
Yeah, this was interesting. I think this was interesting for me to learn more about it, and kind of everything else that I've looked up or that we've talked about as far as vortexes go. There's a lot of like discussion around what a person can experience there, why they might go there, that sort of stuff. And this one was a little bit different. So I thought it was interesting to do the research, but we'll get into it. So when I say the Great Pyramid, so in Giza, there are 3 main large pyramids and then a whole bunch of smaller ones.
Okay.
So the Great Pyramid is the biggest one, and that was the Great Pyramid of Khufu. I hope I remember to pronounce these correctly. The second largest one, or the middle one, is the Pyramid of Khafre.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. And then the smaller of the 3 is the Pyramid of Menkora. And this was like father, son, grandson. And the pyramids are part of a complex. So there's a lot of other smaller pyramids that incorporate important people, family members, queens, people that were significant of the time. And the pyramids were requested. The Great Pyramid was requested around 2550 BC.
Okay.
By King Khufu, who he was. This is important, I think, for the big picture of history, not necessarily for this episode. So I put it in here, but I'm not going to get too much into it. He was the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty. We're just going to leave that there.
Okay. Good to know.
The pyramid itself took about 30 years to be completed.
It's a long time.
I think a lot of people have an understanding that there's a lot about the pyramids that we don't know, like how they were built and that sort of stuff. What we do know is that there are over 2 million stones in the largest pyramid.
Wow.
And each stone weighs about 2 tons, but some of them weigh as much as 9. So
oh my God.
These are like massive structures that they're putting together here. There's definitely a lot of ongoing debates about how exactly they were constructed, and there's maybe some more consensus these days around like Egyptologists and people who really study that. But there are still some differing opinions. So really fascinating stuff, but again, not the point of this episode.
Well, it fascinates me that like at this point we still don't know how they were made, and because like they didn't have supposedly technology, and they didn't have like cranes and whatnot supposedly.
Yeah, I think the biggest thought process right now behind how they were constructed has to do with some sort of like ramp and pulley levee system, and stuff that I couldn't even imagine. However, one of the debates that I did see come up that I thought was interesting was sometimes people will say like, oh, it was a lot of like slave labor that was used to build the pyramids. And then there's this whole other rhetoric that it couldn't have possibly been slave labor because to construct these, you needed very in-depth understanding of construction and archaeology and all of this stuff and architecture, and it had to have been like the brightest minds of the time that were putting these things together. So
interesting.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like back and forth around that. But one of the things that I think is really important about the pyramids, important for their purposes and also important from like a spirituality aspect, is that they're oriented to the 4 cardinal directions. So true north, south, east, and west. So each side of the pyramid is facing one of those directions. All of the entrances to all of the pyramids are on the true north sides.
Okay.
All of the temples on all of the pyramids are on the east sides.
Okay, so they're built all the same way. Okay.
Yeah. So they're all facing the same way, and that was significant for their own beliefs and spiritual practices.
Okay.
I hear about like the original 7 wonders of the world all the time. And for some reason, I never really knew like what they all were. But the Great Pyramid is the only one of the original 7 wonders that is still standing today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
I didn't realize that. That's how I figured out. I didn't know what the original 7 wonders of the world
Apparently.
Because I've always known it to be one of the great wonders of the world. But the ancient wonders of the world, the original 7, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the statue of Zeus in Olympia, Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the Colossus of Rhodes, and Lighthouse of Alexandria were the other 6, and they no longer exist. So the Great Pyramid continues to be one.
So like Stonehenge isn't. I thought it was like Stonehenge and
Stonehenge is one of the modern wonders of the world.
Angel Falls and wait, modern? That's considered modern?
Yeah.
That's wild.
They separate the ancient wonders of the world, the pyramid being one of them, versus the modern wonders of the world. It has less to do with like modern times and more to do with these first 6 disappeared. They no longer exist for one reason or another. So yeah. But there definitely is a lot of symbolic spiritualism associated with the pyramids. So the construction of them, the materials that were used, the interpretation of how they're used in general, all kind of play a role into the energy that is felt there, the purpose that people use them for today, and the things that you can connect with. I was looking through a couple different sources, and one magazine article, it is originally an African magazine, so it was translated, so it wasn't necessarily translated like verbatim. But from going through that, it really talked about the base of the pyramid representing the body, the sides of the pyramid representing spirituality, and then the tip of the pyramid representing union of human and higher self.
Oh, wow.
So when you think about it from that perspective, and this is why I know we're going to be doing an episode on sacred geometry, and this kind of made me think of that. Like, is that how that was used in spirituality and thinking about like sacred geometry? So
quite
I'm
possibly
excited to hear more about that. But
yeah.
So one of the things that did come up too is like the purpose of the pyramids, and I think a lot of people recognize that pyramids were used as tombs in the time that they were built, and it's a very ritualistic death process. There is an assumption that the person who has died, who is going through this process, will be transitioning into the afterlife, and that itself has a long process. And so the pyramid was the physical point of connection between the living and the dead. Their entire process, which I didn't go too much into here, but there is like steps to it. There are, I think, like obstacles that they need to overcome in the transition process to get to the other side.
Yeah, there's the famous Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to show people how to get through those different things to get to the afterlife.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you have to do this. To do this, you have to do this. And yeah. Weigh your heart against a feather. And
Right. So those are like some of the challenges that people need to do in order to get to the other side. So the pyramids being like a physical point in this world for the death process to begin is like super significant in that. And of course, like how they were interred and what they were buried with or who they were buried with and that sort of stuff. But there's definitely an understanding that there's like a constant evolution or transition that's happening to people. The starting point being birth in this world, the journey of life, and then the ascension or the death being part of those evolutions, and then the actual death process being an evolution in itself. And when you break it down that way, when you have birth, life, death, it has like 3 significant points, like a triangle has 3 significant points. And so when you think about like the shape of the pyramid and how they viewed it, you can see how those things very much just coincided with one another.
That makes sense. I apologize if people can hear. It sounds like my neighbor just decided to just wood chip his entire yard right now. So I apologize if people can hear.
I didn't hear it, but
Okay, good.
we'll see. It's fun when people do that. And they're just
Right?
like,
And they're paving down the street too. So they're like, you can hear the beep. It's just, it's a little loud in here today. So I apologize.
chaotic. Hey friends, we just wanted to take a moment to remind you all that you can interact with us on social media. We can be found at Curious Mystics Podcast on all platforms.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep showing up for you guys with new weekly episodes and content. Thank you for hanging out with us so far, and stay curious.
So I was thinking, like, going through all of this, like, I can definitely see the spirituality. I can see the significance. I can see why certain things were done in certain ways. But I was thinking about the actual, like, spiritual vortex of it all, and what about the pyramids indicate that it is a spiritual vortex. So we talk about, like, the shape and the materials, which I didn't mention before, but oftentimes the materials used to build these pyramids were like limestone, granite, and gold. And so they would be, at the time, really shiny, smooth, probably reflective materials. So you can use them as like mirrors to some extent. So that is thought to augment this sense of them being like a natural battery. Mm-hmm. The pyramid itself is like a battery to connect with spirit, connect with afterlife, connect with vortex, connect with whatever it is that you're connecting with. The quartz found in the granite may vibrate under pressure, which can result in amplified electromagnetic fields. And we've talked about this before as far as like magnetic fields and vibration. Vibration of self, vibration of earth, vibration of everything constantly, whether we see it or not. So tapping into that to be able to manipulate it in some way. The structure of the pyramids could possibly support like sound frequency that resonates with a charge in energy, a specific charge in energy. So these are some things that have been found as like I'm going to say experimental. I don't mean in a like scientific experimental way that we think of. But we also know that just because it hasn't been scientifically proven doesn't mean that it's not real. So these are things that people have tested for themselves and been able to find that, like, yes, you can access these vibrations. You can create a certain sound frequency. And we know that that can be really helpful for a person's spiritual journey. If you're using it in that type of way anyway. And we had talked, I think we had done this episode on like ley lines and how they are all over the earth and like crossing one another. So from my understanding, there are ley lines that cross right under the pyramids, which is why they are thought to be a spiritual vortex. These ley lines cross under them. However, people have very different experiences. Some people can really tune in and say, yep, I can feel that energy. I can access the vortex, all of this. Other people might not feel it as much. I have seen some anecdotes of people not experiencing that connection so much, but still having a spiritual experience.
Well, I think you would have to, I mean, think about it. One, it's so ancient. I feel like anytime you're in the presence of something so ancient, you're going to pick up, if you are, tapped into that type of thing, you're going to pick up on the energy that's passed through all of that, no matter what type of ancient structure it is. Plus, it was a place for death and burial. So you're going to have that. So, I mean, I feel like you're going to have, if you're tapped into that sort of thing, you're going to have some sort of thing. Whether it's like related to a vortex or not, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I feel like you're gonna have to feel something.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think that that was a point that I was going to make too is like it's nearly impossible to not have an experience like this when you're connecting with something so ancient. Um, I also think, though, sometimes people hold expectations of what an experience is going to be like. And then if it's not like that, they're just ruling it out. Like, nope, it couldn't have been a vortex because it didn't look like XYZ. And that may not be true.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of why we're doing these episodes on the vortexes, because like I feel like you're going to like you said, people have an expectation. Like when they go to Sedona, they're going to feel like, oh, this like masculine or feminine energy, and it's calming or whatever. But it may not be that. I mean, it may
Yeah.
just be a feeling of energy in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine having that type of experience, like coming into contact with something so significant and not having some sort of awe for it. To be in a place where this structure was built so long ago, to be touching or connecting with something that someone connected with 2,500 years ago. Yeah, like even just thinking about it, I'm like blown away. I couldn't even imagine actually being there and not having a significant experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Just from that aspect alone, not even with an expectation of like perfect meditation or anything like that. So, the other thing that I was thinking too is that we've done episodes on solstices and equinoxes, and we know that ancient cultures and people have understood things about seasons, about agriculture, about life, about nature, about the cosmos, that would have probably been really difficult to verbalize or to articulate in a way that we're accustomed to today. At the time, that probably looked a lot different. And there were probably people that were like, no, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? The sun always comes up here at this time, like that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah, that's true. But they clearly had an idea of directions and stuff because of the way they situated things. So there's clearly something they understood.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we see it time and time again. I mean, you can listen to any of the episodes we've done on the solstices or the equinoxes, and you see it repeatedly. People knew and lived their lives around those types of things. So when it comes to the pyramids, I think about it in the same way. Maybe there were people that didn't understand or didn't have the words, or they had their own language for it, but they knew. They knew what they were doing when they did it, using the shapes that they use, using the size of the pyramids themselves, the materials, the locations that they put them in, all of that. And then you can see where you can like tap into, harness, augment, manipulate any of the energy that's there.
Well, I find it interesting that they put them on a vortex, on a ley line crossing, which we know makes a vortex. So it's interesting. Like, what did they know?
Yeah.
Because we talked about in ley lines weren't even quote unquote a thing until the 1920s, but clearly they were a thing.
Yeah.
Like the ancient cultures kind of tapped into these things. So I wonder how they knew that.
Right. Right. And that I think kind of goes back to like the verbiage that might have been used or how they might have described it. It might have looked something totally different. Maybe they didn't call it ley lines, but they understood that there was an energy there, and the location of it. And these pyramids, the Great Pyramids of Giza, happen to be, I can't remember the exact distance. I want to say 10 kilometers, but I could totally be making that up. But to a certain extent, they're close to the west side of the Nile. So, of course, civilization is going to start to be built around water sources where you can, engage in agriculture, where you can have trade, where you can access water. Like, that those things are going to happen, but they could have happened anywhere up and down the Nile. They could have happened anywhere up and down other water systems.
Right.
And they happened here. So, yeah, I think going through all of that, I didn't find so much of like people's experiences with this was my experience at the Vortex, but you can see all of the reasons why you would have an experience, why engaging with engaging with any spiritual vortex, especially something so old, could easily have you tapping into, like your best meditative state, your best connection, your best divination, your best, whatever it is you're trying to achieve on your spiritual journey.
Yeah,
If,
I could see that. I could totally see that.
yeah. So I know that we talk often about how like science can support metaphysical things and experiences at times, but remembering that the lack of science or evidence doesn't mean that these things aren't real or true. And there's been a lot of like anecdotal evidence in this case, but I absolutely believe that these things can be real. Some of the interesting like little experiments that people performed on their own that have come up time and time again is like people will place things under like inside the pyramid, like, oh, I'm gonna leave this here. And it may be something that's like an apple, right? And it will resist decay in some way. Like it
Okay.
slows down, so that kind of like supports the idea of a stabilizing energy field. Not that
Interesting.
it doesn't decay, but it
Like
changes.
slows. Yeah, it goes slower. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
Plants that are found around the pyramids have been seen to grow at accelerated rates. So that also supports like positive energy fields and influence like that.
Considering it's the middle of the desert.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And although, like I said, they are however far from the river, they are that far from the river. It's not like
Right.
the river's
Yeah.
right there. So there's that. And then there's also been lots of reports of like really intense meditative states that people have gone into while visiting the area. So we can absolutely say that there's like this awe-inspiring view. Even just looking at pictures, some people take some really amazing pictures, like of these pyramids, of the Great Pyramid, of all the pyramids, and you can see them and recognize the brilliance and the significance of them, the magnitude of that picture, that energy, that experience. But also acknowledging that at the very least, that's what you're going to get.
So just to clarify, so is it just the main large one is a center of vortex, or like kind of that whole area with the three? Jeez, with the three of them. The three of them.
So the Great Pyramid, the biggest one, is the one that is directly on the ley lines crossing.
Okay.
All of the pyramids, they're very close in proximity. So the entire area is considered to be a spiritual vortex, but the biggest pyramid is the one that is on the ley lines.
When you were doing your research, did you find like where anybody had like visions or anything, or like was like visited by ancient?
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, I read a couple different things of people saying that like that's why I just encompass it under like intense meditative states. I've read a couple different what's the word? Like I'm thinking of a word and I can't think of the word, but like a couple different reports of people saying they've had that type of experience where they've gone into a meditative state and have been greeted with like some sort of information that they did not have before, whether it was about something that had happened or something that was going to happen, or whether it was like connection to spirit, connection to something else. I did see that come up a couple different times, and I think that might be a common experience that people have, but I didn't want to just blanket statement that, so I kind of just put it all under meditative states.
What do you know? Like some of the the pyramids and some of the structures were built specifically for specific deities? Do you know if these pyramids were associated with any deity, or is it just the pharaohs?
These three in particular, as far as I know from what I've seen, were not for specific deities. There are pyramids that are, I'm not going to remember how far. They are in whatever proximity to them, and I can look it up, but that were built for specific deities.
Okay.
And I think that maybe there's some like correlation between the two. So like if those were built first, that's where they got the idea to build these pyramids for themselves. Or if these were built first, then they got the idea to build the pyramids for the deities.
Got it.
But I can't remember which order they go in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was like really interesting. And I think, I don't know, I've always kind of been fascinated by Egyptian culture, but to know or to see how much their culture goes into building their structures of the pyramids, and then how much that can be applied across the board for people with different spiritual beliefs. Like in Egyptian culture, the pyramids were specifically for a death process, but across the board you can see the connection between our current present physical life and something beyond, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, I just keep thinking of, is it Machu Picchu that has like that big like pyramid? Like the Aztecs had pyramids too. They weren't were they three-sided? I feel like they were four-sided.
Four-sided.
But still, I mean, it's a similar structure.
Yeah.
I find that interesting.
Yeah.
That you see that in other cultures across the whole world.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, like I said, it did get me to start thinking, and I know that we're going to do an episode on that, like sacred geometry, but it did get me to start thinking, like, how important was that knowingly? Like, were people understanding at the time, like, hey, this circle or this whatever structure is super important because of the shape of it, because of, you know, the symbolism or the connection that it could have there.
Well, yeah, I mean, they could have put it into any form. It could have been a square, it could have been a circle, and they chose specifically a triangle.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got.
It's interesting.
So, I know someone who has gone and visited the pyramids, and the stories and pictures that they brought back were absolutely phenomenal.
Really?
Yeah. So I think if anybody has any that they want to share, please do so. But also, if you have any insight or information about that experience, let us know.
Yeah, that's... So, do you know, just quickly, are any of the other pyramids on vortexes or on ley lines?
I did not see that they were. The only thing that I saw was that they were built for specific deities. And I don't want to mess it up because there was a lot of like translation between like Roman or Greek versus Egyptian. Yeah. They're all basically like the same, but they have different names, and I don't want to mess them up. So, but I did see a lot of that going on, but I didn't see that any others were on ley lines.
Okay. Just interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
I thought so.
All right. Well, until next time.
Stay
curious.